My name is Ya Cao. Today I want to explain to you why atheism is unrealistic. Many Western countries in Europe and the United States were founded in Christian belief. Just look at the cathedrals and the US dollar with the phrase, "In God we trust." Then you will know. However, more and more people declare that they are atheists, who believe there is no God, or agnostic, meaning they cannot know whether God exists. Karl Marx, his father was a Christian minister, yet he did not believe God exists. Even said that religion is the opium of the people. I have had many chances to interact with atheists. They all think they have very strong reasoning that they have already found out that God does not exist. However, as the conversation deepens, they cannot provide any scientific evidence about why God does not exist. What is funny is that many of them are disgusted about God, which they won't admit it exists. Why do they discuss something that does not even exist? They always say, "Let God show himself, then I will believe." The famous German philosopher Immanuel Kant once said these famous words. He said, "To prove the existence of God is difficult, but to prove that God does not exist is even more difficult." This gentleman was an astronaut of the Soviet Union. He was the first astronaut of all. He went up the space. By today's standard, his spacecraft merely hovered the Earth at a very low altitude. After he came back, he held a news conference saying, "I went up the space and I did not find God. Therefore, God does not exist." His saying is like a frog in the bottom of a well. One day this frog stuck his head and looked around. He did not see any person. Then he decided human did not exist, which is equally absurd. Atheism is impractical. Why? There was a private detective that was pursuing a criminal. Eventually, he heard that the guy was hiding in this 4-story building. One day he went in and looked in every room, but he did not find the criminal. Could he conclude that the guy was not there? Of course not, because maybe when he went in, the guy slipped out from the back door, or while he was looking for him, he was playing hide and seek with him. You need to look at all places at all time to know that he is not there. If God exists, he must be infinite and eternal. Therefore, you must go to every corner of the universe at all time to find God, in order to be sure that God does not exist. Many people demand the proof of God's existence, but we are finite and we live only a short time. How can anyone prove the infinite and eternal God? If someone could do that, isn't him God? Therefore, you must have the attributes of God to know God does not exist. In other words, you must be God to know God does not exist. You can't do that. Therefore, it is impractical and unrealistic to say God does not exist. Some people don't believe God exists because they believe in evolution. They think we are the result of random chances. Therefore, there's no need of God. Is evolution scientific? I have another video called "The Death Knell of Evolution." I use very simple biology and the probability to show that evolution is baseless. Hope you will watch it. If the human were the result of random chances, life would be meaningless. Why? Because no matter how long you will live, say 120 years, you are still like a spark. all of a sudden disappears in the infinite time of the universe. You don't know where you come from, and you don't know where you are going to. None of your offsprings after your grandchildren will even know you or remember you. Exactly what is the meaning of your life? However, every morning you wake up, everything you do has meaning. You add all the meaningful things together, but ended up meaningless. No wonder those philosophers with the deep thought couldn't help but saying life is absurd. Nietzsche was one of them. He declared God was dead, and yet he spent his last 3 years in a mental institution and later died of syphilis, which is a sexually transmitted disease. What does that mean? It means that his mental capacity and his moral were completely bankrupt without God. Can you be absolutely certain that God does not exist? If God exists, you will be missing out his care and love for you. You ought to think deeply. I have many videos provide ample evidence that God exists. I hope you will invest some time to explore that. Thank you for watching, and may God richly bless you. If you have any questions, please write to me. My email address is belcantog@gmail.com.